So, I have come a long way as an Edison Format content creator, mostly off the back of these various jank builds that I've featured on the channel across the past few months. So, today we're going to be looking back at all of the jank decks that I have piloted on the channel and rating where I feel they belong in terms of a scale of competitive viability. So, we got 5 tiers right here. Carpath filler episode should be pretty self explanatory. Just like unplayable crap, bad, just like regular bad, I guess. Not quite there. These are going to be like decks that have like good engines or good cards, but then also have some really negative quality due to the jankness of the build. Has potential. These are decks that are like one change away from being the next tier up. So competitively viable is going to mean decks that I feel you have a like reasonable chance of topping a major event if you play it well. So has potential. Relative to that is just like decks that are close to this but not quite there. So that's all of the tiers we got. That being said, let's just start going through because we got a lot of decks to get through. So let's be quick about these. Macro Monarch. This is just regular bad, I think. Now that's hilarious because I think this deck actually topped a major event, but my experience playing against this deck is that maybe you can sack if you go like macro set 4 or something against certain decks, but like it's just a pile of garbage, man. I mean, have you seen some of the hand? Go watch the video of me playing this. You just have hands full of cards that do nothing. It's so fragile. It's so not good. So unfortunately, I'm putting this deck in bad, despite the fact that it actually did top an event pretty recently. I'm not a believer whatsoever. I think this deck sucks. So Hino Kagatsuchi Spirit Frogs. This deck's also bad. This is like a borderline Carpath filler episode, but there's like enough good stuff in it to prevent it from being in the lowest tier, I think. Recurring Nightmare. This is going to be and has potential. I think in the next few months I could probably get this deck up to here if I really work on it, which is kind of the definition of the has potential tier. So I'm definitely putting it in here. I think it might even be the top of this tier, to be honest. This deck's a lot of fun and there's some cool stuff going on. So look forward to future videos on it, maybe. This deck, I'm confident putting this here. I will probably bring this to an event in 2023 at some point. Yeah, there's just so many good cards. There's so many good things going on, and like the fact that you just play one Sky Score Gen Rise is not nearly enough to offset, the like just incredible number of like good cards and good interactions and whatnot that are going on in here. Fairy engine, of course, is like a tier 1 engine. And then you play like this cool chaos stuff with Caius and just so much good stuff. So I think it definitely belongs in here. I mean, I've been able to perform decently well against my teammates on like good decks, so definitely I'm putting this in competitively viable. Maybe not the top, maybe it's like the bottom of competitively viable because it's like the one I'm least sure about, but yeah. Dino DNA, I mean, yeah, there's no good dinosaurs, unfortunately. That's just the way it be. Overdrive Teleporter Psychics. I've been surprised by how poorly this deck has performed in videos when I've played it on the channel, so unfortunately it's going to have to go down in bad. Dark Quick Draw. Dark Quick Draw is probably another has potential. I don't feel like it's quite there yet based on how it's performed for me, but I definitely could see it getting there if just maybe like one more discovery, could push it up to the next level. So, but it has potential, seems good. Amaryllis. This might be my most underrated deck of all time. It's possible. It's either this or the Neospatian one. But no, I think it's this one. Like, because people just don't play Volcanic Counter for some reason, and they get the wrong impression about how this deck's supposed to be played. You're supposed to play Volcanic Counter in here. All right, as like this super aggro burn/mill deck, this deck is actually super obnoxious to play against, and it does a lot of good stuff. So, I think the Volcanic Counter version of this deck is definitively better, and it's definitely up here. Also, I topped a major event with it, so like, I'm confident putting it here. I know that in itself maybe isn't enough to rank it in the top tier, but just my feeling playing this deck relative to the other ones is that it's actually very good and very slept on, so I'm going to put it up here. Monster Mash. I might get in trouble for this one, but I'm gonna put it in has potential. I think there's just so much good stuff in Monster Mash. Like, if it were not for the inherent weakness of not playing spell traps, I think it would definitely be even a tier above. But I don't know. I could see like a build of this potentially like breaking through and becoming a deck in the format. So I'm gonna put it here. Diva Flip. There's so many good cards in Diva Flip. It pretty much has to go and has potential. Like the Caiuses, the Hamster Raikos, the Diva package. Just so many, like, it's like a good stuff pile almost. So I'm going to put it in has potential. Seems reasonable. Relinquished. My experience playing every ritual deck in this format is that they suck. So I'm going to put it in bad. It just feels like, I don't know, you have to draw so optimally for the ritual stuff to like work out and not just be terrible. So I'm going to put it in bad. That's my experience. I guess some people like these types of decks, but I think it's just terrible. So it's going in bad. Sorry, not sorry. The Cat Plant deck is competitively viable. Would not be shocked to see Snack top an event with this at some point in the future. Definitely feels really strong playing against it, so it's going up here for sure. Salvo, this is referring to like that Dark Creator like crazy build that I played like a month ago on the channel. It sucks to do this, but I'm gonna throw it in not quite there. Unless you like draw Dad or whatever, I think this deck is pretty mediocre, unfortunately. Frost and Flame Dragon. This is basically just really bad Diva Hero, but there's enough good cards in it to put it in not quite there, I guess, as opposed to these shit tiers, even though Frost and Flame Dragon is such a bad boss monster. Moja. This deck felt terrible when I played it, but I've also played against it and had it feel good. So maybe I'm just a bad player. I think this deck plays like Hamster Raiko Caius, so it almost can't be in bad straight up. So I'm gonna put it in here. That seems reasonable. The Spatian Diva Hero deck. This is my other most slept on deck of all time. I'm putting it up here. This deck feels like kind of nuts, honestly. I'm not gonna say it's better than regular Diva Hero, but it is not strictly worse. There's like a reason, there's like a condition within the metagame that would make you choose to play this deck over the other deck. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think there's a lot of neat synergies in there, and I think people were way too quick to dismiss that build. So, yeah. Tualatin Fairies. Tualatin sucks, but Fairies are so good that it almost has to be in here somewhere. So, yeah. Power Tool Plants. I wasn't feeling this one. Putting it here. Maybe top of not quite there. I guess you could potentially bump it up to has potential, but the Power Tool decks in this format just feel like such a meme to me. I don't know. Cloudians, that's, you know. Yep, one of those. Volcanics with Doomfire is just regular bad, I think. Because the Volcanic engine, it's like not enough to carry a deck, but there are good cards, so yeah. Doomfire, though, is awful. Earthbound Immortals. Yeah, these were a Carpath filler episode, if ever there was one. Desert Twister. This was like Plant Dragons, but with 2 copies of Desert Twister. So it's kind of the same story as Frost and Flame. The surrounding deck was like a good deck. We just inserted some jank elements into it. Ritual Fairy. I am not a fan of these ritual decks. We'll put it next to Tualatin. Like, a fairy deck can't really be worse than here. Except maybe Counter Fairy, because it doesn't play the main fairy cards. I'm gonna call this one bad, honestly. Like, what does it even do if you don't open Artemis set 4? Like, I get that Artemis set 4 is insane, but like, what if you don't? What if you don't draw that? So we're gonna throw it in bad. Tethys Fairies. This one was also bad. I don't know where it's probably worse than that deck. It's probably worse than all these, honestly. Maybe better than these two. Alright. Yeah, I'm sorry, this deck was just a joke. Sometimes I guess you can draw your whole deck, but like, it was a meme. Uriah, the version of this I played is definitively Carpath Filler episode tier. The more mainstream versions could probably be bumped up to bad. But I played like a weird mill version or something that was even worse. So yeah. Rocks. This might be in the upper end of not quite there. This deck didn't feel that terrible, honestly. Aliens. Pretty much have to go and has potential because of how good Golgar is. I don't think they're quite top tier, though, of the jank decks that I've played. Iron Chains, these should probably go in this same tier. They're in kind of another power tool deck. They just really lack like a win con. So maybe here or something. Yeah, there's just not enough payoff, but they could do cool stuff, so whatever. Crystal Beast. Kind of same story as Iron Chains. Do cool stuff. They can go positive. They don't have good payoff, though, so kind of going to get stuck in this tier. Honestly, this might be higher than some people expected me to put Crystal Beast, though. Sapphire Pegasus is a hell of a card, though. What do we got here? So this is like the POC, the Phantom of Chaos pile. This eventually evolved into the Chaos Fairy list, and it's just much worse than that deck is. But it's got some of the good elements of it. So I think here is fine. The top end of not quite there. Seems reasonable. Beginning of the end is just that was a Carpath Filler episode. That was just like a dumb challenge I gave myself. Like, I'm going to resolve this silly card or whatever. So yeah. Spaceships are probably just regular bad. I think they are better than Macro Monarchs. So, yeah, they're better than all these. That seems like a good spot for them. Morphtronics. This is tough. I feel like this deck can do some cool stuff. It's probably good enough for not quite there. Probably is. I mean, Selphon's a really good card, so I think not quite there is fine for it. Gravirose Plant. This is probably another not quite there. I think it's higher up, though, because there are a good few good cards in this deck. A lot of the plant stuff in this format's pretty neat. I think not quite there is a good spot for it. Exodius Control is like very similar. They're doing really similar things where they're just like these kind of mediocre plant decks that have these funny gimmicks that let you mill. I think Exodius Control is better, though. So, yeah, I'm going to put it here. Eccentric Zombies. They are playing Zombies, which are a really good deck, but I don't know. This was not a good experiment in my card game career. I think it's like down here. It's down here with Frost and Flame Dragon. I don't know what I was thinking with that one. Chatburn. I might be putting this unfairly low, but I just hate this style of deck. They're just not my... It just doesn't fit my style of gameplay, so this might be like an unfair rating for it. But I'm going to put it like in the middle of this tier. I don't get it. I don't get these types of decks, so... If you want to play some dumb aggro crap, you're probably just better off playing Blackwings because their cards are broken. Zeta? Yo, this low-key might be top of not quite there. This deck has a lot of good cards in it. I'm just saying. It's got Raikou Kais, it's got DD Warrior Lady, you got the traps that banish things. I mean, that's almost enough to put it in has potential, but I think I'm going to leave it down here. That's more of an appropriate spot for it if we're being reasonable. Infernities. This one's gonna give me some serious shit, but I think this deck is like a single upgrade away from being good. This felt really good when I was playing it in Meta Breakers with Keegan. You can just do all sorts of... You can't go off like you can later, obviously, but you can do some like crazy plus plays, and you can go off with Diva a little bit. So this deck does some pretty cool stuff. You're just missing like some important cards from the Shining Darkness. But, like, the core of the, like, advantage engine is still there. So, I'm going to put this in has potential, controversial take, but I do think that someone could find a way to break this. Destiny End Dragoon, it's in bad somewhere. It might even be top of bad, because you can, like, summon Dragoon and virus them and then bring it back. So it's probably better than all this nonsense down here. I don't know. It's kind of subjective. Fire Zombies, this deck belongs in competitively viable. I doubt anyone would play it because Diva Zombies is just like optimal, but I think you could conceivably. I would not be shocked to see someone top an event with this. It's just like not really played, so I've been trying to get Fitz to play it, but I think he almost topped once with it as well. Ojama. Apologies to Fen in advance, but this deck is bad. Yeah, you can go plus a billion, but it's a bunch of do-nothing vanillas, and if they out your country, you don't do anything. So, yeah, that's the end of the story for Ojama's Flamvel Turbo. This is like a has potential. The Dandelion build really put this to the next level, I think. Definitely a pretty underrated deck. I haven't played it a whole lot recently, and I don't really have plans to either. But I think this deck could be pushed into viability as well. You can do a lot of crazy stuff with it, and just being able to like draw out your whole deck with Rekindling is a pretty neat strategy. It makes good use of the Magical Stone Excavation. Makes good use of like the tokens plus the magicians. Pretty easy to OTK with this, so I think this deck's in a good place right now. Could be a little better though. Dark Gaia, this pretty much has to go and has potential. I don't know if it's topped anything yet, but it's bubbled a couple times or something, and it is just worse Diva Hero, but it's not worse enough to put it lower. So I think Dark Gaia belongs reasonably high on this list. KFC, I've played every deck on here, and this is the best one. The sort of new technology of like Over 40 and Legacy of Yada have been super beneficial to this list as well. So yeah, I think this deck is better than it's ever been right now with my current version. So yeah, I'm putting it at the top. I think that is completely reasonable. It's definitely better than all these decks. So yeah. That is the conclusion of the Jank tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you disagreed with anything, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.